gonna talk about one of the biggest plumbing scams in plumbing. And according to ChatGPT, a scam is something that is misleading or misrepresented. So one of the biggest scams I see in the plumbing industry is tankless water heaters. One thing, I suck at spelling, and why you should listen to me, because I didn't go to college because I can't spell water. But so why should you listen to someone that can't fucking spell water? Since I graduated high school, I became a plumber, and now 10 years later, I own a company, and we have a 5-star rating, and we have great customer reviews. So I might not know how to fucking spell, but I do know a lot about plumbing. And you're gonna see a lot of misspelling stuff, but trust me, bro. And like I said, we have ChatGPT to give all the information, all the data. So if anything I might say is misleading, this is pretty much my opinion. After 10 years of doing this, this is my conclusion and why I think the biggest scam in plumbing is tankless water heater is because the average ticket in my area is $3,000 for a tank, and around $7,000 for a tankless. And they always tell stuff like upgrade to a tankless, and most people think when you buy a tankless water heater, you're gonna get instant hot water, and that's what they sell. That's why it's the biggest scam in the plumbing industry, is because most customers are not informed and they're confused, or the salesperson doesn't know enough about tanks and tankless water heaters to what's it called? I can't even think of the word, to inform the customer to make the decision. But since this ticket item is almost 2.5 times this ticket item, that they tell the salesperson, yo, sell these things, the tankless water heaters, because a plumbing company on average sells it for 2.5 this amount in my area. So why? Okay, so let's explain how hot water works. So you got your little tank, right? And then you got a little faucet. That's a faucet right here. So when you open the faucet and the water goes down, the hot water starts going all the way. This is also cold water. This is cold water until the hot water gets pushed and it starts going, and then eventually it becomes hot. And a lot, depending on the run, if it's right here, or you have a little fixture right here, it takes faster. Maybe it's 10 seconds to get hot right here, and then 40 seconds to get right here. So that's how hot water works. You know how a tankless water heater works? The same fucking thing. So if you think going from a tank to a tankless is gonna make you get instant hot water, that's not the case. What the difference is between a tank right here, and less right here, is if this is 40 gallons, eventually at some point you're gonna run through all this hot water, and then eventually it's gonna start being cold. Think about it as a pot of water. The selling point of a tankless water heater is on demand. So what that means is, theoretically speaking, you can never run out of hot water. So this is where I'm going to do the pros and cons. I'm not against tankless water heaters. I fucking install them all the time. I just don't like when people are telling them, hey, upgrade for a tankless water heater, and this is the main problem right here. They thought they were going to get instant hot water, but in theory, there's still, if they took 40 seconds to get over here, it still takes 40 seconds. And that's the biggest selling point, that most people get it confused because they're not plumbers, they're salespersons, and they don't understand that part. So that's the main reason when people are mad about tankless water heater. There's other issues like undersizing. There's other issues like not properly installing them. You know, there's hundreds of other stuff. If this system is it's great when it's properly installed, but if it's not, then it's not. And since this is such a complicated system, most plumbers, even the high end plumbing companies, the ones that are charged a lot, they about probably like 60% of their installs are not correctly installed, and still they charge hella money for that. So okay, so why would someone go from why would you, when this, okay, so this is my opinion. When should you get go from a tank to a tankless? Let's say you have your little house like my house. So you have your little standard house that I grew up on. It's a small little house, 1 story. We're broke, you know. That's why I didn't go to college. I'm broke. 1,000 square feet, small little house. We used to only have one bathroom, one little bathroom right here. Now we upgraded. We're doing living life, you know. We extended the house, but that doesn't matter. For the longest, we used to have like a typical Mexican, about 10 motherfuckers living in this house. 10. Guess what happened to our hot water when everyone decided to shower? That we would run out of hot water. So this is where I would when I would go to a customer and tell them you need a tankless water heater. Because you got 10 motherfuckers, unless you want to buy a 75 gallon or 100 gallon. And basically you have like 3 units of apartments living in one house. This is where I would go to your tios, your uncles, your nanas, or, you know, you'll be like, yo, you need a tankless water heater. Because you motherfuckers, there's 10 people living in a house and it's like a prison, you know. You need to buy a tankless water heater. This is the best case scenario. That's when I would 100% recommend a tankless water heater. But most of the people that actually go for this high ticket item because they got the money and the salesperson tells them words like upgrade, their house is a nice house. They got like, it's a gated community, 2 stories, and guess what? They got 3 fucking bathrooms everywhere, and it's like 3,000 square feet. And there's huge hundreds of pipes going through there. So this is where they're like, hey, let's install a tankless. This will work if you install this little thing. Let's say right here, we'll do it. As long as you have this little pump right here on the tank, it also worked. That's why on 2-story house, there's a recirc pump, and you see there's like a little pump. Because the hot water is always on the loop, so it goes around, so that's why the hot water is always looping. But if you don't have a recirculating pump that recirculates this, then you're not gonna have instant hot water. And when it's a 2-story house, I've seen they get the 70 gallons water heater, and it's enough for this type of household. They have 3 bathrooms, big things, but with the recirc pump, it works perfect on a tank, no problem. So that's my recommendation on this house. It's always having this type of setup with a recirc pump. But like I said, these people upgrade and they sell it, and they don't put that little recirc pump. So now, since let's say this, now let's draw our third house, which is the 2-story house, you know, with 4 bathrooms. Let's say that the longest fixture is this long, and it has 2 stories, it has all this, and this is where people get the worst experience on tankless water heaters, because they were told they're going to get on-demand hot water. But since there was no recirc pump, it takes forever to do this. And the way tankless was designed to do, it was designed to work is when it goes through the little tanker's water heater. It goes in, and there's a bunch of little coil where it goes, and then eventually goes and then heats it up. So when it goes in and out. So tankless water heaters weren't designed for it to be working like the tank with the recirc pump, because the tank is always hot. So with the recirc pump, it's always keeping it at a temperature. So there's a little fire right here, always heating this up. So it's not a big problem. But this one, it's on demand, so it needs to go through that. And when you have a big house like that, it doesn't work like that. There's some models that have timers that that learn your schedule. Let's say at 6 a.m. you always shower for work. So at 5:45, the ones that do have a pump and you have to have the recirc pump, it turns on, and it's that way. It's not always on. So that's how they get away from that. Or there's this other guy that there's some customers are deal with. You know how there's this house that's 2-story. This guy had like a 2-story mansion running off one little tankless water heater, and he was mad. And I'm like, sir, you need to have 2 tankless water heaters at minimum. And like I said, most people don't know. The salesperson does not know how to sell size house, or he doesn't know the plumbing. He just knows sales. All he knows is like, hey, oh, we gotta charge $7,000 for this tankless water heater. He doesn't know the information, how to size, how to gas, everything that needs to feed a house. And he was sold a little tankless water heater for his huge ass house, a mansion. And he's like, hey, fix my problem. It takes forever. I'm like, yo, you need to put 2 fucking back-to-back water heaters, and that's how it's gonna work. And then it's gonna be like $20K. And he's like, fuck you, you're scamming me just because I live in a big huge house doesn't mean I have money. I'm like, sir, it's not that I think you do or do not have money. It literally costs $20K to properly heat this house that you live in a mansion, and I don't understand what you're understanding. I know you thought tankless was going to solve you. I told him we could either put one tankless here or another here or battery them, but you need 2 tankless water heaters. Guess what? Like, he didn't want to understand, so I was like, he's like, no, just give me a good tankless water heater and do it for an 8K. And I was like, dude, I'll use another example. My truck is a diesel F350, my Ford. For some reason, it requires 2 fucking batteries. I don't know why, but if I take one of the batteries, it's not gonna work. And that's what it will work, but it's not gonna work properly. And that's what he was doing with his huge ass house. He wanted one battery to work, and I was like, sir, I don't know why. I'm not an engineer, but this is how the engineers engineered this, and I can't promise you that it's gonna work, because it's not, because it literally isn't. And I'd rather not do the job. He was gonna be like, I'll give you 8K, I'll give you the job. And I was like, I'm not gonna do it. And that's how we retain our 5-star rating. 5 stars, you know, because we refuse to work people for like this. Because guess what? When you do a job for this person right here, he's gonna be mad, because he's gonna be like, you told me it was gonna work. No, I didn't, dude. I literally told you it wasn't gonna work. You literally need to have 2 tankless waters on a battery system. Even when we get this tankless water heater with the recirc pump, your fixture count is like triple the average house. This water heater by specs is not designed to handle this. But guess what? I'm a dumbass plumber that can't spell water. So, you know, what do I fucking know, right? So, like I said. So, top 5 things, top pros and cons. I'm not against tankless water heaters. Like I said, back in the day when we used to have, our house was 1,000 square feet, and we got all my cousins and aunts living in the same household, I would love a tankless water heater. But now, you know, there's 4 people in the house, you know. So a tank, we still have a tank. It works perfectly. Me as a plumber, would I upgrade to a tankless? No, you know. This house is so small that I don't even need to have a recirc pump. I get, within 10 seconds, I get hot water. You get me? So let's talk about pros and cons, where people are like, let's upgrade. You're going to save money, this and that. And like I said, you could always chat jib it up, all the information I'm saying. You don't have to listen to me. This is from my like years of doing this shit, what I learned, and all the science and theories of. But when is a tankless a right option? Like I said, this is the best case scenario. Small little house, 10 people living there, tankless, go for it. Also, and when people have those huge island bathtubs that we install, that takes like 200 gallons, you need a tankless. I know by the time you try to even a 75-gallon water heater, it's gonna take forever to fill that tub up. So there's a lot of situations where I do recommend um, tankless. Pros and like I said, cons. I think of tankless. This is one thing that no one thinks about. We live in Cali. Cali. What do we have in Cali? Power outages. We have power outages. Guess what? I think 97% of tankless water heaters need electrical. So guess what? When we lose power, you're also gonna lose hot water. With our tank here, no electrical. We lose the fucking SDG&E, whatever your power company shuts your power. We still got hot water. You still could shit. You can at least still take a hot shower when we don't have power. You know. That's one bad thing about tankless water heater. Also the costs. People always say like, "Oh, you're gonna offset the cost." I don't think so, because all you gotta keep in mind, this thing has a higher maintenance. Also they said those things last 25 years, you know, compared to 10 years on an average. So 2.5 longer lifespans. That's supposed to pay for that cost. I think bullshit, because if you test your water quality, it's horrible in almost every area. So unless you have you know, the proper filters, and you also have your fucking fuck, I can't think of where you're washing it, draining it every year, that the chemicals alone is like $200 plus every year just for you to flush out your tankless water heater. On the tank, all you do is connect the hose, and you know you're good. So you also have a higher maintenance cost. Also, the these things tend to break more because they're so complex. So their failure rate. I know there's some brands that have a crazy failure rate, but that's just one brand of tank water heaters. But from my experience, tankless water heater, this is just random numbers. This is not exact data. I think tankless water heater has like I'm just guessing right here, 20 to 35% failure rate. You know, like in less than 10 years. And why I mean by that, it's because this thing has so many little things going on here. Boards, this and that, all hundreds of parts. And one of them fails, your tankless is not broken, but it failed. And yes, you could come and fix it, but then now you don't have hot water. And people just want their hot water, so they're gonna call you angry. My tankless water heater doesn't work. So you're gonna have it's like, okay, let's call a tank water heater a Toyota, reliable. Tankless water heater is a BMW. Beautiful, cool, looks badass. Shitload of fucking problems. You're gonna get the girl with the BMW, but you're gonna be tripping out when you have to change the oil, and you're gonna be like, "What the hell, man? It's expensive. It's annoying. I can't work on this. This is a Toyota. You could work on it, and it's cool." I don't like it. I wouldn't drive a Toyota. There's people that like BMW, so that's my best explanation of a tankless water heater. A lot of maintenance and a lot of stuff. Tank, theoretically, just flush it out 1 year. Even I don't do that. Works great. Depending on the model, you're still gonna get 10 years plus, and you're not gonna have as much headaches. So my conclusion is, what is the best system to get instant hot water? It's always gonna be the tank with the recirculation pump, because they always loops. And no matter the size of a house, I just walked the job last week where it's 100 gallons, a big old tank water heater with a recirc pump, and it's enough to feed 10 units on the bottom, 3 floors, so around 30 houses. Think about that. Enough to feed 30 houses, and they always have hot water. So tank, if you have the space, there's always pros and cons when you want to go tankless tank. But this is all the information that the salespersons don't tell you. That's why in plumbing, tankless water heaters are the biggest scam. And let me know if you want, after watching this video, because there's probably someone that's like, should I spend $7 grand for a tankless? And they probably don't have this much information. because most people are just salesmen. And I understand the theory of plumbing. So let me know, after knowing all that information, if you're just going to stick with your tank water heater, or you're going to go tankless, or you're going to spend the money and put a recirc pump and a return line to get instant hot water. Let me know. I want to know if I convince people not to get a tankless or to get a tankless.
For trusted plumbing services in Oceanside, visit usplumbing.org or text 760-536-5056 for an Insta quote. Like, share, and follow for real plumbing.